start streaming now. I have to leave in about 20 minutes to my son's school, and I'll be back. But we are on day 4 of Mr. Freeze. Again, just kind of spent the morning cleaning up a little bit from yesterday. And today is going to be the figure from what I saw yesterday when I put the primer on. Looks pretty good overall. If there's a few little spots that I'll probably address. Nothing major. As I was priming, I saw some spots, so I kind of sanded those down while I was priming. So, because I see more when I'm priming, I really concentrate on what I'm looking at. So, I see a lot when I'm priming. So if I see anything that just sticks out, we'll take care of it and spot prime it. But I think for the most part, the figure, we got some work to do here on the bottom of this gun here a little bit. But today's going to be mostly the base. The base needs a lot of work. I'm hoping I get the base all prepped today, because that's 4 days of prep, which for something like this is about standard. What's up, Rob? So yeah, so just 4 days in cleaning up, fitting, you know, it is what it is. So I pinned this gun on, but again, since I don't have to ship it, I may just glue it off. I just may glue it on. There's no reason not to glue it on. I don't have to ship it, so one less thing my client's got to do. So yeah, the base needs a lot of work. It's just, oh my gosh. Oh, it sucks, but it is what it is. I knew it was going to be that way. But again, I'm going to just go through and clean up anything that just sticks out like a sore thumb on these parts from yesterday that I worked on. Yeah, I'll be online again today for a few hours. I was streaming like 8 hours, but like if people aren't, not that I'm talking a lot, but if people aren't interacting with me, it kind of gets boring, so I just turn my camera off. And I get a lot of people at work and they can't chat, but it's like, so yeah, I got a few spots to go over on the parts from yesterday, on the figure from yesterday. Some parts that just stick out that need a little more work. And I got to think about my painting technique. So there'll be a lot of dry brushing on this. And anytime it's dry brushing, you got to get rid of as many errors as possible, because if you don't, they're going to pop out the second you start dry brushing. So, like this arm looks really good, I think. On this arm. There's stuff up in here to keep. I'm not gonna worry about it, because you're gonna see it. You're gonna see that when this is glued on. Let me get my eyes on. Where are my eyes? Alexa, set an alarm for 8:35 a.m.
Alarm set for 8:35 a.m.
There's like a little bit right here I could take care of. Again, if nothing, just let's see how much that is. I think most of that, all that's in. Okay, so I gotta take care of this spot right here, because you'll see that. What are you whining about? So one more round on the figure, just looking things over, get anything that just sticks out, and then spot priming here and there. And the figure will be ready for paint. I'll start tomorrow. I don't know. My client sent me a bunch of references. There's so many different ways you can go with it. I saw a paint up there I really liked. It was more in the silver metallic kind of color range. As far as how I got started in painting, well, I got started in painting in high school. I used to do automotive body repair, so I used to paint cars for a living. I worked in a shop here in Dallas that restores 1955, 56, and 57 Thunderbirds. And so I worked there when I was in high school and then during the summer. So my background is automotive body repair, more old school techniques. Like we didn't have fancy frame machines; it was all done by hand. So that's where I kind of got my start in painting like that. But I've always built models since I was a kid. But I started kind of getting serious in model building as a serious hobby in 2000 and let's say 8. I kind of discovered Gundam, which I remember seeing it, in stores and stuff. I kind of discovered the Gundam models, never having watched the cartoon or anything or the anime. And so I built Gundams for I did nothing but Gundams for 10 years, almost 10 years. I started doing figures in 2015, after going to my first Wonderfest in Louisville. A friend of mine convinced me to go to Wonderfest, and I kind of bought a few figure kits and did them and really fell in love with it. And at that time I had been doing Gundam commissions. People were hiring me to do Gundam kits, and then the figure commissions just naturally kind of started to happen. But the whole statue thing happened by accident, as did all my commission work. It all started by accident. I never set out to be a model builder / painter as a job. And this happened because I got laid off in 2020 because of COVID from my corporate gig as a photographer. I was a corporate photographer for JCPenney for 10 years, and I got laid off during COVID. And I was doing figure commissions, and I was getting a lot of demand actually at that time, and I was kind of backing out of private commissions. But I had enough people wanting to work for me that I just kind of started painting full time to earn money. And in the process of looking for another corporate gig, the type of work I did was very niche and very hard to find. And so I just kind of transitioned to painting full time. But yeah, that's a really short version of how I got into it. But yeah, I've always built models since I was a little kid. I never really painted them until 2008, 2009. I started. If you go on my Matt's Models Custom page on Facebook, and you look at my photo albums, you'll see work all the way back from 2009. You'll see all my Gundam work. I did my first Gundam commission in many years this past year because no one wants to pay me what I charge anymore to do, because Gundams take forever. They take hundreds of hours, especially large scale resin kits. They take hundreds of hours. The last one I did took 260 hours, I think it was. It was 6 weeks of non-stop, 40-45 hour weeks just working on this one Gundam. But my client loves it. It was very expensive to do, and I may be doing another one for him in the future. But yeah, no one wants to pay my fees to do Gundams because it's crazy expensive. Alright. I think we're going to call that part done. If there's anything I missed, I'm really not seeing it right now, so I'll probably see stuff as I paint. And if it's easy to fix, I'll fix it while I'm painting, but for the most part, got me interested in model making was like a lot of model makers these days with Star Wars. I wanted to, as a kid, I wanted to work for ILM and build spaceships for a living for the movies. That never happened, obviously, but that's what got me into it. So as a kid, I'd build planes and things. I was never really into military subjects. I really got turned off on military subjects when I started going to model shows and these IPMS shows where you got these rivet counters that tell you everything's wrong, what's all historically wrong with the pieces. And a good example of that is I used to belong to a local modeling club that has kind of been disbanded, but we had a guy in there. He was a vet of the Iraq War. And so he built a lot of subject matters that had to deal with what he did during the war. And so I can't remember exactly what he did, like what his thing was, but there was a certain vehicle that he was on, like I don't know if it was a tank or what it was, but anyway, he had painted and built it the way that his particular vehicle was used in the war. And he was at the shows, and all the judges well, that's historically inaccurate. And he's like, that's bullshit. I was on this truck, and this is how we painted it. This is why we did it this way. So he can't tell me it's wrong when I'm the one when I was there. So well, we have no documentation of that. It's like, well, here, how about these photos on my cell phone of me on this vehicle? So, yeah, so like the rivet counters that keep me away from all the military subjects. I mean, they're cool, and I appreciate that art form, but I can't do it. That's why sci-fi is really nice, because you can kind of, unless you're trying to do like movie props and movie, screen accurate things, which is hard to do anyway, because screen accurate is a very loose term because it depends on the movie, the scene. Like Star Wars, for example, there weren't just one X-Wing. There's a bunch of X-Wings. They're all different. And the same X-Wing could be different based on the scene. So you're like screen accurate to what? To which scene? Which movie? So those are kind of those rivet counters, but they're a little different. It's hard to explain. Okay. But you can see all the detail on this piece now. That's turned out really nicely. This will paint them nicely. Just got to pick a color scheme. There shouldn't have been a pot out there. I cleaned up the kitchen, I thought. Okay. Again, I'm just going to come to my Optivisor and see if anything sticks out. And this arm looks... I'm going to say it looks good and I'm going to see something. It always happens. Okay. I'm going to call that good. I know the head's good. There's nothing on there except for underneath the chin. Which I got yesterday. A few on the ears, as usual. On the goggles. Okay, that's good. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these pieces because I went over them really good yesterday. In my initial cleanup on Monday and Tuesday was really good. So like the first day on the stuff is like you go through and you do a cleanup. Try to get as much support marks off, print artifacts off as you can. That first round, you do some assembly. And the next day, it's a continuation of that. And hopefully you get some primer on stuff. Yeah, the shop I worked at, they're still around. They're, as far as what we did, restoring those 3 years of Thunderbirds, they're the the best known shop in the world that does those 3 years of Thunderbirds, and they're still going strong. I think it's run now by the son, who I went to school with in high school, and that's kind of how I got the job. Because I was taking auto body class, and and my mom was also a tutor and was tutoring him and his sister in math. And when I was when I was taking that class, a lot of people took auto body class because it's kind of like it was an easy A. You'd basically show up and got an A. But I really wanted to learn, so I took it seriously. So while other kids were goofing off and playing cards, I was in the shop working on cars, whether it was my car or one of the other students' cars. I wanted to learn the process. I thought it was really interesting. I had a really good teacher, and so Justin, who was at that time is the son of the owner, knew I was in the class, knew I took it seriously. He asked me if I wanted to go work for him after school. I was like, yeah, sure. So I'd go to school. I'd get out of school like, I don't know, 3:30 or 3. I can't remember what time it was. I'd go to the shop, work till I only put in a couple hours in the afternoon, and then on Saturdays I'd go from 7 a.m. to noon and work there. Before one of my other, I always had 2 or 3 jobs. I never had. This is the first time in my life where I've only really had one job. I am a photographer also, but I don't do that too much anymore. It's mostly 99% of what I do is this. But anyway, so he asked me if I wanted to start working there. So I'd work, a few hours every day after school, and then I'd go work on Saturday, 7 in the morning till noon, and then during the summers it was every day, 7 o'clock till 5. So I was working 45 hours a week there during the day, and then I had a job waiting tables. Usually Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday. So I was working 7 days a week as a teenager. I can't get my kids to pick up their damn rooms. But yeah, I don't know. My father always instilled in me a good work ethic, and you want something, you work for it. So I'm constantly turning this in the light because the light will catch little things that I don't see. There's a little support here. Is Owen? Bye, Lena. God, my kids' voices sound so similar to me sometimes. My daughter leaving. All right. Everything else that just sticks out. Alexa, stop alarm. Well, that's my cue. I gotta take a break and take my son to school, and I'll be back.